Hello, this is Shelly Engerank with Heartland Realty in DeSoto, Missouri. This is another one of my episodes on a series of videos that I'm doing just to answer some general common real estate questions that I'm asked a lot about real estate. As always, check with your own agent if you have any questions about anything that I'm saying here and you want more clarification. I don't want to supersede what your own agent is telling you in these areas. So I'm trying to make these as general as possible. But we've talked a lot about what a buyer should do in order to get ready to buy a house and get a contract accepted. So now we'll kind of move to the next part of the contract, which is the inspection period. And for the sake of this video, we're going to say you have a 10-day inspection period. If you want it to be something different than that, you know, you can negotiate that when you make an offer, what you want your inspection period to be. But you don't want to make it too long because there are, you know, you're moving to a closing date. So you don't want to, you know, you want the contract to keep moving along. So during the inspection period, you can hire an inspector to do a general overview of the house for you. There are definitely home inspectors. Each real estate agent, you know, is familiar with different home inspectors. You can find them online. You can hire someone to do a general overview of the house for you, which is kind of the most common thing that people have done. This guy or girl, there are women home inspectors, is going to check the roof, you know, check all the components of the house, AC, you know, furnace, whatever, every foundation. They're going to kind of do a general, they're going to look at the electric panel, and they're going to give you at the end of this, some people are surprised by this, you know, probably around a 30-page report with pictures of what are the, you know, most of them that I'm familiar with use pictures of everything that they saw in the house. And it's really a general overview of the house. It is not, and this is important, this is not a pass or fail. This has nothing to do with your lender. It has nothing to do with the municipality that you're buying the house in or the county, nothing whatsoever. This is an inspection period for you. I call it kind of like the buyer beware period. This is a period for the buyer to decide for themselves if they are satisfied with the condition of this house or not, period. So just because things came up doesn't mean, hey, the seller's got to fix this. My inspector said, you know, that this electric is not up to code. No, no, no. That has nothing to do with this. You can ask the seller to upgrade it, but he does not have to do anything during this period. It's all a negotiation between you and the seller. And depending on the price that you paid for the house, it's probably going to have a lot to do with how willing the seller is to or not to do some of these things. If you bought a house that, you know, in the beginning said as is, then you still can have an inspection. There's nothing saying you still can't have an inspection, but the seller has already said, look, you're taking it as is, I'm not fixing anything. So this is your buyer beware period for you to decide if you are satisfied with the condition of the house. You don't not have to hire a general home inspector if there's just certain things that you're worried about and maybe not the whole house. You know, you could hire an HVAC guy to come just look at that. You could hire a roofer just to look at the roof. You could do a termite. There is, you know, 1,000, maybe not 1,000, but there are tons of inspections you can have done. If you're in a rural area, you're going to want maybe a septic and a well inspection. You know, pretty much anything that you want checked out by a professional during this time frame, this is your 10 days to do it. And when I say 10 days inspection period, let me stipulate, you have a 10-day period to deliver to the seller an inspection notice. So you can't wait until the 10th day to have your inspection, okay? You need to do it really as quickly as possible and get that over to the seller. Your deadline is 10 days. On day 11, guess what? If your period is 10 days, on day 11, if you have not delivered an inspection notice, you have forfeited your right to do so. So that is your cutoff to get something to the seller if you want something done. Your inspection notice is going to say one of three things. Number one, and this is what every seller is hoping and praying for, hey, I'm satisfied with the condition of the house and I'm just ready to move forward. I have no request. B, I'm not satisfied, and these are the things I want done. And you have to have the report by a qualified professional to back up what you're asking for. You cannot, and many times people will say this, hey, my dad, my uncle, whatever, my cousin, does construction or, whatever, and can I just have them come look at the house so I don't have to pay for a home inspection? What I usually say is, you can have them come and look at the house, sure, you can do that. But if you want to ask the seller to fix something, you need a biased, third-party report saying what is, needs to be done. You cannot say, my Uncle John says he thinks there's something wrong with that roof. Not gonna fly. You need to have a roofer with a report showing, what is wrong with the roof and what needs to be done. So documentation is something I want to stress a whole lot in this video. And then the third thing that your inspection notice could say is, there's nothing, unfortunately, that's going to make me happy with this house. I went out of the contract, period. And you have the right to do that as long as, again, you have the documentation to back up your reason for wanting out of the contract. Let me also stress, this is not a period for you to say, I changed my mind. I found another house. We decided not to buy a house. That's not what this period is for. This is all about the condition of the house, and whatever you say on that inspection notice, you need to be able to back up with documentation. Okay, and then the seller, after you deliver to them, you now have another, starting the 10-day period over again in this case, negotiating period, where you are going to negotiate between the two of you. You have a 10-day period to get these things negotiated out if you did in fact ask for some things to be done. And these are things that you need to think of too. When you ask for something to be done, you need to be real specific. Let's just say you're asking for something to do with the electrical. You want to make sure you specify, I want a qualified, licensed electrician to do this work, invoices, and paid receipts and lien waivers. If that is in fact something you want. Now, if it's something minor, let's just say, it's something that, anybody could almost fix, maybe you want, a new railing, coming down the set of steps, and this isn't going to require necessarily a professional construction person, then you can just say, we want a new railing, whatever. Whatever it is that you think that you want done, but if you want it done by a professional, you need to specify that. And then the seller obviously has the right to comply or come back with their own terms of what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. So we have a little friend with us today who wants to know about houses too. So anyway, this is what the inspection notice is really kind of all about. If you choose not to have any inspections done, and sometimes people do that because maybe they did have someone in the family look at the house that they felt satisfied with, and they didn't feel like they needed to go the extra mile and pay for any other inspections. You certainly have the right to do that. You don't have to have any inspections. It's not at all mandatory. Again, this is your buyer beware period. If you're going to do it, this is your time to do it. If you don't do it, then we just move on. You sign a form saying, I knew I had an inspection period. I chose not to exercise my right and have any inspections done, and I'm ready to move forward. And that is something that, like a lot of investors, fixer-uppers do, a lot of as-is properties are sold, that way. So it's really up to the buyer and where their comfort level is. You're looking for your comfort level to be able to move forward. So I hope that this answers all of your, or at least some of your questions. And again, check with your own specific real estate agent if you need clarification of anything that I said. Thank you again for listening.